Hello. Well, the pressure pattern we start off with this week, high pressure, is very different to what we'll see as we head towards the end of the week. You can see these low pressure systems forming over the Tasman Sea. That's what we've got in store for us as we head towards Wednesday and Thursday. For the rest of Monday and even through in towards Tuesday, the high pressure is still the dominant feature, which translates for most of us to be a dry story. We'll start to find a little bit more cloud come towards us as we head through the night time tonight and on in towards Tuesday. But really, it's a bit of a waiting game for this high pressure to shift away and these next much more active, much more dynamic features moving closer towards us as we head in towards that second half of the week. Now, these will be bringing some wetter weather. You can already see that rainfall being pulled in on towards parts of Fiordland and Western by the end of the day on Tuesday. And as we head on in towards Wednesday, these low pressure systems bring more of that rain on towards the western coast of the South Island. And by the end of the day, we'll also find that rainfall reaching across in towards the western side of the North Island. Now, some of that will be very heavy, particularly in places like the ranges of Western, but also with the wind direction being more northerly, you can find that feeds in towards parts of, say, the Tasman district. So for places over west of Motueka, particularly those ranges through there, but also some of the ranges out towards the eastern side of Nelson City will catch a fair bit of rainfall in this. So you can imagine with that moisture, that stream of moisture feeding through, could be some fairly high totals through there. So we've already issued some severe weather watches for those areas, and we'd like to find some of those upgraded to warnings as we head through the next few days. Likewise, we may well find some severe weather watches for rainfall and for some of those stronger winds through parts of Northern, Auckland, the Coromandel, as we head in towards Thursday in the Bay of Plenty as well. You'll notice we've still got some of this white stuff down south, still the chance of some snowfall down to relatively low levels that first day of October, particularly for the end of the day. So we are going to find, as we head through in towards the next few days, that cold air down south, combined with that feed of moisture, may well find some snow down to around about 700 metres for those southern parts of Canterbury, south of the Rangitata River, and in towards the northern parts of Otago. So not for everyone, but still worth thinking about if you've got to stock up over the higher ground through there. Higher pressure out towards the far west of us, high pressure out towards the east means that this is a fairly slow moving feature. So as we head on in towards Thursday, you can see this rain moves across. Again, with those northerly winds, it funnels through in towards places like the Bay of Plenty. You've seen very little rainfall so far throughout September, but I think with this next area of rainfall feeding through, particularly those higher parts of the eastern side of the Bay of Plenty, could be some fairly substantial rainfall for you. Hopefully for the likes of, say, Northland and Auckland, it moves through fairly rapidly, but where it lingers, it may well bring in its own problems. You'll also notice with these low pressures, the winds in a clockwise fashion bring that moisture and that wet weather on towards the eastern side of the South Island. So for places like Otago and perhaps southern Canterbury, may well find some high rainfall totals for you as well. So well worth keeping a close eye on the forecast for you. Like I say, still some of that snowfall about the higher parts, but by the time we head through in towards Thursday, hopefully start to find that moisture, warmer air back with us, so it should turn into more rain, but I think could be some large rainfall totals for you. It's worth saying as well for Canterbury, the Canterbury radar is now offline for a couple of months just while we go for an upgrade. We've got a new fancy radar going in there for you, but for the time being, do keep a close eye on the forecast. It will be pretty wet through there, but may not necessarily show on those radar images. As we head on towards Friday, you can see that low pressure is still spinning away out towards the west of us. We'll start to find that rainfall clearing away from down south. We'll keep a fair bit of cloud across these western areas, but hopefully a drier day for many of us as we head in towards Friday. And I think we'll start to find it's still pretty mild as well. In terms of what we've got as we go through the next few days, you're going to find a fair bit of rainfall. Now, for many of us, we'll find rain at some point over the next couple of days, particularly for, say, Wednesday and Thursday. For the North Island, Thursday's probably our wettest one, spreads across from the west. Again, with those northerly winds, those areas are exposed to the north. So those north and eastern parts of Northern catching the rainfall, the Coromandel, and like I said, these eastern parts of the Bay of Plenty, the top of the Central Plateau, Taranaki and Monga as well, you'll be catching that rainfall through the daytime there. And I think some heavy falls to watch out for. No severe weather watches at the moment, however, head along to our severe weather outlook for a real rundown on how things are shaping up on Wednesday and Thursday. You can find that on the Met Service website. For the South Island, some pretty heavy falls of rain for you, especially in those areas up in the north. Now you can imagine that the ranges of the Tasman district act as a bit like a funnel. So with that wind coming in from the north, that rain runs in towards those higher parts through there. Could be some pretty high figures through those areas. So we'd like to find some severe weather warnings for the places like the western parts of the Tasman district, up in towards the Richmond, Bryant ranges, and through the ranges of Western for, say, Wednesday and Thursday. But you can also see around this far eastern part of the South Island some large rainfall totals for you. And again, this eastern area does not used to see as much rain as we see on the west. So a fairly significant feature for you as well, especially for parts of Southland and Otago, which have already seen a very wet September. So really worth keeping a very close eye on those forecasts and thinking about how your ground conditions will fare underneath more rainfall as well. Now, as we go through the next few days, we are going to find it is a bit of a warm one though. That warm air is coming in from the north, being dragged across many of us. So our nighttime temperature is nothing too cold. We've still got a bit of this cold air down south, and I think the combination of that cold air and that feed of warmth will bring that risk of snowfall for parts of Southland and Otago and Canterbury, for particularly Wednesday night into Thursday, just where you get that perfect mix of the cold air and the moisture. Snow levels perhaps down to about 500 metres, but most likely around about 6 or 7. But I think it's worth keeping that in mind for the Wednesday and Thursday, and some cooler air back with us by the time we head in towards the end of the day on Friday. So it is going to be a pretty unsettled end to the week. That's already borne out by our icons here. Remember this time last week we were looking at sunshine for the end of the week, but this now is looking like a much more unsettled picture as we go through Wednesday and Thursday. Watch out for those winds increasing, some heavier spells of rain as we go through Thursday. Places like New Plymouth, especially exposed to those northerly winds. Also places like the Bay of Plenty, keep an eye on those. Whakatane, they will find more rainfall on Thursday than you saw throughout the entirety of September, for example. But then I think hopefully improving for you guys as we head in towards Friday. And on the South Island, again, we'll be keeping a really close eye on those rainfall amounts. Places like Blenheim, Marlborough, catching a fair bit of rainfall through there. Nelson, Motueka, also seeing a fair bit of heavy rainfall for a time on Wednesday, getting better as we head in towards Friday. But I think we are going to find still rather showery down south. And places like Dunedin and across in towards Otago, do watch out for some of that heavy rainfall perhaps as we head through Thursday and Friday. There's still uncertainty about where the rain is going to feed back in, how much is going to come back across us. But it's a forecast to really be keeping a really close eye on as we head through the next few days. So there's that low pressure still lingering with us on Saturday, clearing away down towards the south. A bit more of that general northwesterly feed of air across us as we head in towards the start of next week. There is higher pressure rebuilding back across the Tasman Sea or over Tasmania there, reaching out towards us as we head in towards the middle part of next week. But we will take a time just to clear that low pressure as we head towards the second half of this week. So still plenty of unsettled weather to come. So do keep a really close eye on the forecasts. And as ever, you can find all of that information at metservice.com.